I have done unspeakable things to my slaves, and now I am ready to reveal the true horror of my life. Welcome to my cruel world. I am Delphine Lalaurie, a wealthy slaveholder from the 19th century, and this is my story. I was born in New Orleans in 1786 as Delphine McCarty. My parents were wealthy plantation owners, and I grew up in a privileged environment. But behind closed doors, I was a monster. I took pleasure in the pain and suffering of others, and I wasn't afraid to inflict it myself. I had a special chamber on the roof of my house where I carried out my most heinous acts. There, I would mutilate and torture my slaves, pulling their intestines out of their bodies and binding them around their necks like grotesque necklaces. Neighbors heard screams and quarrels coming from my house, but they never suspected the true horror that was happening inside. I was careful to keep my secrets hidden from the prying eyes of society, but eventually my crimes caught up with me.
Part 2 on me page.
All right. Hello, great people. Welcome to the Paranormal Highway. That was a little intro of part 1 of the Lalaurie Mansion. At the end of the show, I'm going to end the show with part 2. So stick around for that. Now, guys, you know me. I respect men and women. So today's show is about, I don't want to use the word crazy, insane, nuts, local. 2 women who did horrible things. Not saying that all women do horrible things, because we all know men do way more horrible things than women. But there are some women who are just as sick as men are. These 2 stories, they're insane. They're crazy. They're sick. Place is supposed to be haunted. So right now, I got the poll up. If, just put in a poll. And, after you listen to both stories, let's find out what's your bigger story. The Lalaurie Mansion versus the Lizzie Borden House. Now, I know the Lizzie Borden House is probably the bigger story in a lot of people's minds, but I don't know, man. I don't know. If you don't know this Lalaurie Mansion story, I don't know if Lizzie Borden can actually hold a candle to that sick woman. Maybe. Now, I'm going to show you guys something real quick on how do I choose sometimes the 2 stories, like to go up against each other. Well, I do go look at like rankings on multiple websites, right? So, like, for example, I went to this one, this is by I don't know, fuck it, who knows? CNBC, whatever, where they put that story at number 3, the Lalaurie Mansion. Okay. Wow, the estimate home values $443,000 to live in New Orleans. So, on this page, they rank number 3, and then the Lizzie Borden House is ranked number 2. So on this page, 2 and 3, they're really close. And of course, number 1, a lot of people's list will always be Winchester House. But then I go look, I try to compare it to other, so I can kind of get a good idea. So, like, here, example, I go to this other one, most haunted. This is Rocket Home, Rocket Mortgage, right? Rocket Mortgage even has the most haunted places. I don't know if Rocket Mortgage wants to give you a loan to buy these places. I guess wherever they need to make a dollar. Now, on this one, they actually put Lizzie Borden House at number 7. And it's going up against where they put it on this one. Now, on this one, they actually put the Lalaurie Mansion as number 1. So I try to find stories that are close to each other, and that's how, I choose the 2. So I try to find a formula that works to maybe trying to equal it out. But I know common sense is that most people are going to pick the Lizzie Borden because that's the one they know, and that's fine. Whatever reason you pick, what story is better for you is your reason. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this. I am not saying either of these stories are fake. real. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's a way to bring two stories, I don't know, back to life. So you hear about it. So even though you vote for one, it doesn't mean the other one is crap. Not at all. It's just some stories, for whatever reason, hits you more than the other one. Is it because that's the first story you ever heard? Or maybe you live in New Orleans, so the Lalaurie Mansion is more important to you. So there's different reasons on why we do this for fun, just to bring up the stories. So don't get angry. All right, we're family here. We like to have fun, and that's what we're doing today. We're having fun with these two stories. And before we start, I want to recognize some of the great people that's in the chat right now. Witchcraft family. I've been on his show twice. Fantastic host, fantastic guy, and the man's real. If you haven't been to his channel, the man's real. He cares. He puts his heart into it. So if you haven't checked out his channel, check out his channel. The man cares. Dina P, wonderful woman. Wonderful. And I guarantee Dina P is not like the Lizzie Borden or the Lalaurie Mansion when you hear these stories. I guarantee Dina P is a lot kinder than those women. So Dina P, Raymond, great person. Raymond supports the channel. I love that. JoJo, I love having conversation with her before the show. JoJo come, we talk, and she's giving some great ideas for future shows. So JoJo, thank you for that. And of course, you got my brother from South Carolina, Danny Stanton from South Carolina, one of the best paranormal Bigfoot investigators you ever going to know. Because why? The man's real. The man cares. He puts it out there. He lets you see it. He lets you make the judgment. He doesn't tell you exactly if it's real or not. He makes the judgment. So these are great stories. And, let's start. Okay, we're going to start this morning with the, my God, I'm almost forgetting which one I'm starting with this morning. I'm serious. I'm having a brain freeze. What am I starting with? Oh, the Lalaurie Mansion. Let's find out. What's this about? Let's find out. Here we go.
At 1140 Royal Street, at the corner of Governor Nichols, is the Lalaurie Mansion. It's considered the most haunted house in New Orleans, and some locals even refer to it as just the haunted house. Now, possibly it got that name because of the large number of ghost stories at the Lalaurie Mansion. Or it might have something to do with the tragic events.
Lalaurie. I'm birching that porn name. I was calling it Lalaurie. Sorry about that. Sorry for fucking up the name. It is what it is. We're real. We're raw. That's how it works.
That caused the hauntings in the first place. Madame Delphine Lalaurie, the woman who became infamous as the cruel mistress of the haunted house, was born on March 19th, 1787, as Marie Delphine McCarty. Her family was very wealthy and politically powerful. They came from Ireland. Most of the people in her family owned a lot of real estate and owned slaves. Madame Lalaurie was married 3 times. Her third marriage was to Dr. Louis Lalaurie, who was what we would call today a chiropractor.
Oh.
Delphine and Louis got married in 1825 because he had gotten her pregnant. In 1831, Delphine bought the house, but the marriage wasn't a happy one.
Uh-oh.
The neighbors heard them fighting often. Eventually, in...
What's new, right? I mean, that's just unfortunately, that happens with almost a lot of the marriages. Which I can tell you guys what, but it doesn't mean your marriage is going to fail. Listen, in November, this might shock you guys. This might actually shock you guys. In November, I will be officially married for 27 years with one person. With one person. That's almost on call nowadays. Now for. So it can't happen. It can happen. Now the trick is, guys, all you men out there, we'll get back to these crazy women that do horrible things to people. The number one thing is take your finger, put it behind your back, and tell your wife, "You're right, I'm wrong." All right? Admit that you're wrong. Just admit it. Just admit it. Because, guys, you ain't going to win. You ain't going to win. So you want to stay married? They're right, you're wrong. Move on. Plain and simple. But have your finger crossed in the back. My wife's right now probably listening to this, and she's like, uh-huh. Oh, that's how it goes. Okay. Want to make 27 years? Yeah. Yeah. Did. I don't know how. Don't know why. Trust me. Trust me. I don't know why.
1834, he left her alone in the house, and this reportedly drove Delphine mad. Rumors began to...
Hold on. Dan, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I'm sorry to hear that. 22 years. That's beautiful. Danny, you're a strong person. I'm sorry to hear that. You ever need to talk to us? You got my phone number. You know you call me anytime you want, Danny. You know that.
Spread that she was harming her slaves. In 1833, when a young slave, Leah, fell out a window to her death in the courtyard, the police started an investigation. As a result, all of Delphine's slaves ultimately were freed. Then, one by one, she purchased each and every one of them back. On the morning of April 10th, 1834, a fire broke out at the house. It was reportedly started by a slave who'd been chained to the stove as a punishment. The fire destroyed part of the house, but it also brought to light 7 slaves who were starved, tortured, and chained in the upper floors of the house. Many of the stories that are told...
Isn't it weird? There's sick people, rich or poor, doesn't matter. But it does seem like people with money, percentage-wise, I'm talking about percentage-wise, not all people. It's like they think they can do whatever they want. It's like it's all right to be sick. It's like all right to be nuts and crazy. For example, look at Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Rich, powerful, and these people are fucking wackos. Right? All right? People with money and power, I don't know. It's like they think they got the freedom to do whatever they want. And it's like they almost allow themselves. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. Poor people are crazy too. Everybody's crazy. But the rich, they can be crazy out in front of you. Fuck it. Throw something out the window out in the back and hide the body. Throw out the window. Let it be found. Let it be found by the cops. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that, I mean, for example, Netflix has that documentary that just happened with that, I forgot the name, the family, the lawyer guy who killed his wife and kid, and he fake crying, he did all this, and the family has a history of being a lawyer in this town, you know, and it's just these rich, powerful people think they can get away with anything, so they can allow themselves to go crazy because they think it's gonna go crazy. I forgot what is that? What am I talking about? What's that family? They're God damn it. Hold on. Crazy lawyer who killed son and wife. Documentary on Netflix. That's still tell me. The Murdaugh murders. The Murdaugh murders. Guy, Alex Murdaugh, exactly. The guy, he called the cops, faking everything. I mean, this guy had an extra gun trying to prove there was 2 other people. I mean, it is nuts. I mean, and all because, his son, that crazy guy's son, was drunk on a boat and killed some people or whatever, going to court. It's going to take the family's money. So he had to like to get rid of that story. Killed his wife. I mean, and literally Stinkies will get away with it. I mean, poor people, you know you're fucked. You're going to get hanged. But no, man, that guy, what an actor. His whole family was lawyers in that town. And I don't know. Rich people, right?
Told about the Lalaurie Mansion involved slaves being found under extreme conditions after the fire was extinguished. Reportedly, one of the slaves was said to have had a hole drilled into his head with a wooden spoon sticking out, supposedly so they could see what happened when they stirred his brains.
Dude, that's totally insane for anybody. That's like the movie Saw, right? I mean, that's like something out of Saw to see what happens. I mean, these people are sick.
Another slave had her bones broken repeatedly and set in all kinds of unnatural positions so that when she moved, her limbs stayed all crooked and bent and her gait was reminiscent of a crab's. Another slave was found with his skin peeled back, so his tissue and muscle.
A lot of you who voted for Lizzie Borden not listen to this story. You might have just missed out on the crazier person. Now we're gonna get to Lizzie Borden in a little while, but pull the skin back, crack the bone. Think about it. It's one thing to be sane enough where you I don't know. I hate this. I don't want you're gonna shut me down. You know, if you kill somebody straight out, a gun, knife, or whatever, but to break people's bones and shift it and keep them alive and the skin pull. I mean, what goes on in that mind? And to continue doing that, I mean, it's just totally freaking insane.
Was exposed to the naked eye. And yet another slave was said to have had his intestines removed from his body and wrapped around his waist. Other slaves were covered with honey and black ants. They say that the lucky ones were the ones who were found dead because their torture was over.
Did you hear that? They're lucky because their torture was over. I mean, this is crazy. And the sad thing, we have a history of this all around the world, not just in America, all around the world. It's, man, just, I don't know, Anthony. I don't know if you want to go outside and finish that lawn because you might get kidnapped by these people or the ghosts of these people. You might want to stay in your house and have a holy cross with you.
The badly injured slaves were taken to the Cabildo, the main state house in New Orleans, and treated. Nearly 2,000 New Orleans residents.
Hold on. Happy birthday, Ida Bustamante. So hold on. We had a birthday with Ida, and we had a birthday with Anthony of Unidentified S4. Happy birthday, you two. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's so awesome. I'm going to sing you both. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anthony and Ida. Happy birthday to you. And hopefully you never meet Lizzie Borden and Lizzie Mouse. Crazy people. Stay safe. Happy birthday, you guys. You know, when you start getting up in the age that we all are, making a birthday is fantastic. just making that next birthday. Just making that next birthday is like, wow, I made it to a birthday. Can I make another one? You know what I mean? You get to that age part and you're just expecting the worst. But no, seriously, guys, happy birthday to you both. You know, it's good. It's good. You guys, birthday boys, man. Go buy yourself something out there. Buy whatever you guys want. Take your own money. Go buy yourself. Go buy some new shoes, a purse, a hat. Get a cowboy hat. Be like me, you know. Do whatever you guys want today. Tell your wives, partners, husbands, girlfriends, Mistress is on the side. I don't tell them all that you're taking a day off for yourself because it's well deserved. Go on a ghost tour. Oh shit.
Down the street to the Lalaurie Mansion, expecting the sheriff to come and arrest Delphine. But the sheriff never showed up. And the mob in front of the house got angrier and more agitated, and eventually they decided to get even with Delphine on behalf of her injured slaves. When Madame Lalaurie managed to escape the whole fray by secretly riding away in the night, the mob attacked the empty house. They stripped it of its valuables, and they tried to destroy the house itself. Details of the fire and the aftermath, as reported by eyewitnesses, came out in local newspapers during the following week. The account was soon picked up by national publications. Delphine Lalaurie was reviled as a monster and a demon in the shape of a woman, and fury itself escaped from hell. There are some reports and stories of torture were created by a malicious neighbor who had attempted to court Lalaurie and was rejected. So he got even by destroying her reputation.
You know, do you think the movie or the Anne Rice book Interview with the Vampire, like, I mean, like, because in Interview with the Vampire, Lestat, they would feed off of slaves, and and that was in New Orleans. They feed off the slaves, they kill the slaves to the point where the slaves burnt down their house and all that. So I wonder if Anne Rice Interview the Vampire, part of the New Orleans part of the story, was inspired by this story. Just curious. I would love to have Anne Rice on my show. Is she still alive? Is Anne Rice still alive? I mean, God, I don't know. Maybe it's just a Mandela effect. I don't know. I have no idea. But I wonder if this inspired that part of the story. Killing slaves, eating slaves, and then making a movie. Now, like I said, I always play a couple of videos of both sides, trying to get different point of views on the same story, just to see like if we missed something. And I think this one is a news coverage.
New Orleans, Halloween tends to bring out the strange and spectacular side of this truly unique city.
Some people say rest in peace, but what if you can't?
But it's a spirit we embrace year-round, considered one of the most haunted places in the country.
We've had a very heavy concentration of death in a relatively small period of time. The original French settlers were warned not to build a city here, that the area was cursed. They had to deal with everything from yellow fever to snakes. The murder rate was high. It was pretty bad.
Sydney Smith with Haunted History Tours explores the city's spectral past every day, all based on true events. Tens of thousands have lost their lives in the French Quarter alone from disease, massive fires, and killings.
Our city's history is strange enough. We don't have to fictionalize it.
One of the most haunted sites? The Lalaurie Mansion, recently characterized an American horror story. But it's been chilling New Orleanians for decades.
The Lalaurie story is probably the most horrific story on the tour.
It was home to a very wealthy, prominent doctor and his wife, whose ghastly medical experiments on slaves were discovered by firefighters. After the couple...
Now, she's using the words experiment. Like, the woman's doing experiments. It wasn't an experiment. She was insane. Call her insane. It's all right. It's an equal world. You can call women insane now. You can call women insane. There's some insane women. There are. So don't say experiment to be a politically correct. Say that an insane woman took guts and wrapped around her body. Be honest.
Disappeared. People claimed to hear wails rumbling from inside for days.
What it was were people that were buried alive inside the house, under the floorboards, and these people were found.
The first story didn't mention about people being buried alive. They found the dead bodies. So that's what I mean. That's why I like to play multiple stories, because was that part added on? You know what I mean? Because I don't remember the first story even said that there were bodies buried. I mean, maybe they were, but different stories. Sometimes you hear more and less more, and you don't know if they're exaggerating now or other stories just kind of missed that part of it.
Years later, decades later.
There's also been reports of ghostly sightings at the Hotel Place d'Armes, the Andrew Jackson Hotel. Even Jackson Square used to be the grounds for public executions.
Violent death and strong emotion often contribute to hauntings, paranormal activity, ghostly activity, and we've had no.
I would love to go to New Orleans. I bet you, just you seen it there. Looks like they have a hell of a fun Halloween. You know, in Seattle, you know, if they do anything like Halloween like that in Seattle, they're going to tax you for it. You got to be taxed for everything. You got to be taxed. So Seattle would find a way that, oh, we'll do Halloween, but we're going to tax you. I mean, guys, get this. Get this. Get this. Taylor Swift had 2 concerts in Seattle. So the city made a bunch of money. All hotels sold out over 99% because of the show. Well, the mayor just decided, you know what? To help tourism to come to this town, we're going to raise taxes 2.3% of all hotel rentals. All because of Taylor Swift. We could have made triple the money that would have helped bring tourists in this town. Really? Really? Raising money? Raising taxes? That's your plan of raising money for your own pockets? What if, I don't know, everybody cut the prices of these rentals? So to be higher rental percentages all year round to bring people in. Maybe make it cheap enough for everybody comes. Because when everybody comes, they'll spend a lot of money. So instead of taxing your way into money, maybe lower the prices, have people come in, and they're going to buy everything else. So I'm sure Seattle did this Halloween thing like New Orleans. They'll find a way to tax you for it. Nothing's free. Now, this last video is cool. It's cool. They're going to interview a worker who works inside the Lalaurie Mansion. And so listen to her interview. There's a couple things that I think there's some key things on her interview.
It's not demonic. I don't feel anything demonic. It's souls that are not free. You know, I mean, there's cold spots, hot spots in the house. You smell old perfume.
Now, of course, she already mentioned, like, you hear about any haunting, cold spots, hot spots, and all that. So that's normal that she says she have felt.
Especially around the anniversary of the house when it caught a fire. That's when you really smell that old Tommy perfume. Yeah. But as far as like,
so certain part of the area, she says she could smell. Now, the smell is known that sometimes, depending on the heat and the cold of a building, if the wood, if it's a little warmer, the wood expands, and a lot of the smells doesn't, even if they're 200 years old, a lot of the smells can be released from it. Where winter, wood and stuff hardens, so you might smell less. So sometimes during the day, you could actually might smell something where later on at night it doesn't, because wood expands and shrinks with the temperature, whatever the temperature is. So a lot of times with those kind of smell that she's talking about, not like the eggs order you hear about demons, you know, like normal smell. So that doesn't, I don't really care for that to be evidence for me.
seeing people, no. I've never seen it. Now, other people have, but
there's that thing that almost all whistleblowers say. She's never seen a ghost, but she knows people who has. It seems like whistleblowers seem like that's the most thing now. Now that somewhat is interesting, because I never been in this place. I don't know. I don't know if it's haunted. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I know a lot of times it is luck, being there at the right time, right place to capture something. We know that. It is a lot of luck. But this woman has really bad luck because she's there, she works there, and she hasn't saw a ghost. So maybe it's just because she's more closed-minded. I don't know. I mean, I bet you Paranormal Pixie can explain that to probably more better than I can. Like if people, if it's just a job, maybe her mind's not open enough to let herself see the ghost, or maybe it's really not that haunted and it's just exaggerated by people. You know what I mean? It's just, hey, Uncle Bones, welcome, my friend. People who I didn't call out in the beginning of the show that were here: Uncle Bones, Robert Wood, the Dog Man, UK Man, Shelly, Paranormal Pixie, Juan Torres. I want to thank you guys. I don't remember. I think I named Raymond earlier when he show up. So I want to thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. She's only got a few more things to say, and then we're going to move on to the next story.
I have.
Yeah.
I could feel, you feel a presence.
Yeah.
Are you usually here by yourself, or do you?
No, my daughter's on the third floor. By
Okay,
Were you ever here when like Ben and Nick was up?
Yeah, we took care of it when Nick had it.
Oh, really? Okay. So you met him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was gonna make this his home, but unfortunately he had business.
I want to ask you guys this. And this is where I hope that everybody can be honest about this. You hear a lot of people say that you can feel a presence. And this is where I want everybody to be honest, because this is, remember, we're all learning, we're all students in the game. None of us are the experts. We're all learning in the game. When you go into a place that is known to have a history, that had events, that the killings really did happen, the sick things that woman did really happened. It's not a folklore. It's not mythology. It really happened. Because you know that, could that be you're causing yourself to have a weird feeling in there? Because you know what happened? I wish, like, sometimes we could do an experiment where, I don't know, you take a couple people that know nothing about any stories, and I don't know, pick two buildings, one with the true haunting and one with not the haunting. Would they go in there and say they feel something? You know what I mean? If somebody doesn't know anything about the story, goes into a place and says, I got this weird feeling. It's like, oh, what's this feeling? You know what I mean? It's almost like I'd rather believe that person than a person walking already know. Like, if you walk into the Amityville Horror House, you already know there was a killings in it. A guy killed a whole family. So in back of your mind, it's going to be eerie. Can that overshadow any true feeling? Because you know it's haunted. You know what I mean? I'm trying to bring some common sense into it. Well, guys, that was the Lalaurie Mansion. So you heard that. That woman was sick. Torturing, murdering, pulling guts out, wrapping it around the body, drilling a thing into the head just to see the brain. I mean, that's just not killing. That's Ed Gein type of stuff. That almost like she probably ate parts of the body. All we know. So, so that's that part of the story. Now we're gonna move on over to Lizzie Borden. Now, first of all, let's take out the voting so far. I like to let me see what the voting is so far. So far, Lizzie Borden is winning 63% to 37%, 30 votes. But I wonder if a lot of you, after hearing both stories, would you change your story to the other one, knowing the fact that probably that woman's more crazy than this one? But who knows? Maybe Lizzie Borden is more crazier. Let's find out.
Just pulled into the infamous Lizzie Borden murder house. It's been almost a decade since I was here, and it's the stuff of nightmares. Disembodied voices and cries in the night, footsteps falling throughout the entire house. I mean, this house is clearly haunted. It's
Now, I don't know that investigator. I mean, I've seen him on TV shows. I've seen him on interviews. Very nice man. Very, very nice man. But I mean, I don't know Dave Schrader in person. So is he exaggerating a little bit for the show? Or do we feel we trust David Schrader enough to say he's not a Zach of Ghost Adventures? You know what I mean? So Paranormal Pixie says he is one of the best. See, I trust people like Laura. This is where, hey, Karen Houghton, God, I'm so sorry for yesterday. I'm so sorry. I was actually in an emergency room again. I have some leg problems, but oh well. I have met him. That's good. You met him. See, that's important. You really know somebody. You kind of wish you got to have supper or dinner where you get to sit there and try to understand the man before you base your whole beliefs on a story. So, but when I'm hearing from a lot of people who interview him, from herself, that David is one of the better investigators, one of the better TV investigators, the ones that are on TV. You know, Dina P. You know, I mean, we get our surgeries and stuff, but sometimes, like my wife told me, you know, once you have a surgery, nothing's ever going to be exactly the same, right? So I got my first class A EVP with Dave Schrader. Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah. I'd like to get the guy out on the air, you know, because I got nothing bad to say about him, you know. Zach, I will, but he seems like a good, honest guy. But I don't know him. I got to be honest. I don't know him, but let's go on.
been investigated hundreds of times, but this is the first time that we're going to take on the Lizzie Borden curse. Could there be a Borden family curse? And was Lizzie a victim? Did an evil entity take possession of her body and turn her into a cold-blooded killer? Can the curse be broken? Hopefully we'll get those answers during the next few days.
Now, let's say for one thing, I'm not here to say hauntings in houses are real or not. I feel that they are, but I'm not gonna speak for you guys to say it's real for you guys. I think they're real. I think there are true hauntings, and of all places that people have been murdering, like the Lalaurie Mansion, the Lizzie Borden, even Amityville Horror. Real people have been murdered. So if there's a connection for some kind of a haunting, it's right there. I mean, their murders happen. So what I'm saying is, I believe that every house, every spot is haunted in some way. Now, haunting doesn't exactly mean, you know, scary, someone's trying to kill you, but there's a ghost presence. But I just think when there's been a murder and somebody's life just been taken away, I believe that impression is in that place. You know, so I can see where the haunting might not be as One Truth wrote something. Spirits should stuck in that dimension, my opinion. And I can see that because if you just murdered, it's like listen, I don't know the secrets to death. I don't. Like, if somebody's on their deathbed, in a way, it's like you're preparing to go somewhere, right? You're preparing to go somewhere. You're getting older in life. You're getting older. So your body, we all know in the future we're all going to die one day. We know that, but older you get, maybe your body is more ready for it. But when you're young, especially young, you're like just taken away all of suddenly. Wow. I can see where that could get you stuck. You have ghosts that have consciousness and demons that are fully awake. That's a good one. Again, this is all your opinion. I don't push beliefs onto people. We're just students of the game.
It all began on the morning of August 4th, 1892, when Fall River, Massachusetts police were called to investigate a murder at the home of respected businessman Andrew Borden, Lizzie's father.
For the record, guys, this is a shock documentary that if you have either Discovery Plus channel or you have HBO, you can watch this full documentary on there. I was just trying to find clips enough where it could tell you, kind of give you the story. So if you have one of those, now if you have both, get rid of Discovery Plus because everything on Discovery Plus is on Max. So just so you guys know, just so. Elizabeth was acquitted, and the information that has been found point to her younger sister or possibly another local man. Right, Dogman, right? What kind of energy is left behind?
It was a gruesome scene.
You guys see that? That's an actual footage of the scene. Now it's black and white because come on, the picture was back in that day.
Andrew's face had been bludgeoned 11 times with a hatchet. The corpse still bleeding, suggesting that he had been murdered within the hour. His nose had been completely severed from.
So that's an actual footage. So she's a machete on them.
His face. His eyeball left dangling on his cheekbone. The bloody scene continued upstairs, where Andrew's wife, Abby Borden, stepmother to Lizzie and Emma Borden, was found lying face down in a pool of blood, her head smashed to pieces. Of the two murders, Abby's was far more gruesome, with 18 savage hacks delivered to her head.
Okay. Now, so she's wacko. We're not going to sugarcoat it. She's crazy. Even after that story, that woman is not as crazy as the Lalaurie Mansion. That woman thrilled to see the brain spin, took guts, pulled it out, wrapped it around the body, pulled skin back. So, first of all, they're both nuts. But so far, the Mansion one, that lady is crazier. But they're both sick. It's like pick one. So let's look at the news coverage about the Lizzie Borden story.
There is a real battle brewing in Fall River. Lizzie's coffee shop opened up last month, right?
Oh, guys, the reason I'm bringing this up, and I'm not trying to be funny about this, even through paranormal, who owns these places, at the end of the day, history is about money. It's about selfish money. Here's this story about a coffee shop that opened up next to the Lizzie Borden House. Kind of brings you back to reality. Forget what happened here. At the end of the day, it's about who can make money off these stories.
Next door to the famous Lizzie Borden house.
The owners of the house are not thrilled with the new neighbor. As WBC's Mike Sullivan tells us, they're suing, claiming that coffee shop infringes on their trademark of the Lizzie Borden name.
A conflict is brewing in Fall River, right down to the drop. You'll find this cup of joe in a shop along 2nd Street. Their spooky decor is an ode to the dark history next door.
It just so happens to be next to the Lizzie Borden house where the famous murders happened.
Lizzie Borden was tried and acquitted for the murder of her father and stepmother in the 1890s.
Did you hear that? Exactly what Paranormal Pixie Laura said. This woman was actually acquitted for the murders. She was acquitted. Exactly what Laura said in the chat earlier.
They were both slain by repeated blows with a hatchet. Their story has since become lore, their home now a bed and breakfast to those who dare shut their eyes. About a month ago, a father and daughter opened Miss Lizzie's coffee next door. Quickly, the bed and breakfast took issue.
They obtained the Lizzie Borden trademark, but it's for hotel services and restaurant services.
The Lizzie Borden house has since filed a lawsuit against the coffee spot. Daniel Larson is the attorney for Miss Lizzie's.
You can't own someone's history.
Absolutely. No, you can't own somebody's history.
The house is now owned by U.S. Ghost Adventures. Per court documents, they filed for the rights to Lizzie Borden, the full name.
My client just uses Miss Lizzie's coffee. They don't have a trademark for Lizzie.
Larson believes the bed and breakfast may be expanding their reach of their trademark outside of hotels and restaurants.
So the standard with trademark infringement, the major standard, is what's called likelihood of consumer confusion. And it's pretty basic. You look at whether two consumers would be confused about who owns the business.
We reached out to U.S. Ghost Adventures, but they will not speak until the matter is resolved. The two will now appear in court 130 years after Lizzie Borden walked out a free woman.
You know, everything at the end of the day comes out to be about money, right? It comes out to be about money. And I'm going to tell you guys something. This is just my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that coffee shop, what they're doing. Listen, it's about business. It's about making money. If I had a I don't know, coffee shop next to the White House, I would probably call it something similar to the White House and have pictures of the White House on coffee cups. The Lizzie Borden should like back the coffee shop because they're actually technically in a weird, strange way is giving free advertisement to your story, right? I mean, it's not like that unless that Lizzie Borden has their own coffee shop in there and you know they're complaining the name. I mean, it's free advertisement. You know, get your cup of coffee, you look at your cup, right? Like, I'm looking at my cup, and you know, like, oh, Lizzie Borden. Oh, that's the house? I might have to go check out that house. I bet you people went and did a tour just because they got themselves a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? I bet you if every one of you went and bought a Paranormal Highway cup of coffee, that's in the link somewhere in the description. And I'm sure if you drink that hot cup of coffee with the Paranormal Highway symbol on there, you'll probably be like, I'm going to watch the Paranormal Highway today. Free advertisement. Take it. Take the free advertisement. They go home from the coffee shop, say they bought themselves a cup. They think twice about want to visit this or somehow. I don't understand. It's like anybody who thinks now if they call themselves Lizzie Borden House, I get that. You can't call it exactly what they're calling themselves, but Miss Lizzie Coffee or something, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. See, at the end of the day, with these hauntings, it all ends up all about the money now, right? Forget the stories, forget the cases. It's about the money. Who can make the most money off of it now? It's such a sad fucking world. Here's the last video of the Lizzie Borden.
It has been named the creepiest place in all of New England. We're talking about the Lizzie Borden House. The home, which is now a bed and breakfast, is of course the scene of a horrific double murder back in the 1800s.
Now, if you're brave enough, you
like have a coupon deal. Right? You know, there's some places like if you buy a can of Pepsi, if you take this Pepsi can, we'll give you a $2 discount. Right? Why not? You know, if you buy a cup of coffee here, if you go to the Lizzie Borden, they'll give you $2-3 off. You're probably unless you sell out every single tour, you know, you're right. It's like a coupon deal. Exactly. See, Dina, you and I, we think the same. Like you can make it work for both. Work with each other instead of fighting. Work with each other. I don't know.
You can eat what the victims had for their last meal and spend the night. And if you're not, let WBZ's Rachel Holt be your guide instead.
I think it's fitting. Yeah, it's a pretty creepy house.
According to Thrillist, this is the creepiest place to visit in Massachusetts, the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast Museum in Fall River. And it got that title with good reason.
On August 4th, 1892, Andrew Borden and his wife Abby were brutally murdered.
So it's a bed and breakfast. You can spend a night, get some food, check out the Lizzie museum. That sounds like a pretty. I would put that on my bucket list to go visit. Would you guys? I would. I would go visit it.
By hatchet in the house. Andrew's daughter Lizzie was suspected and tried, and she was acquitted of the crime.
Neither of us have ever been here, so we were like, let's just do it. It's on the way.
And it's something we've always heard about. Ever since I was a little kid, I remember the rhyme.
Now the house operates as a bed and breakfast, complete with 6 bedrooms to choose from. Visitors can also take part in guided tours.
They have a stay in a really, really unique place. You can't sleep in most museums. This one you can.
She's a little more adventurous than I am.
I love this stuff, so I would totally stay here.
Guests aren't necessarily guaranteed a restful night.
Some of them say, oh, best night's sleep ever. Other people say, oh my God, I was hearing things, I was seeing things. And actually, sometimes the cook gets here and they're gone. They haven't even made the night in the house.
But
again, and I'm not here to say they didn't hear something in that place. I'm not saying that. Again, you know a murder happened there. Regardless if you think Lizzie Borden did it, it was not. She was acquitted, but a lot of people believe she did do it. Who knows? You know that in your head, and it's an old house. So I can see where somebody would hear any kind of a sound, like, oh, there's a ghost. There it is. You know what I mean? Like jumping the gun. You know what I mean? I'm not saying. Listen, Bob said here. We need to stay tonight. We do. That'd be fun. That would be freaking fun on a you know, because I am planning sometime later in the year, next year, if everything works out a certain way, that I want to hit every hot spot in every single state. I actually do have a trip I'm working on next year in 2024. And I would love to hit that hot spot, spend a night there, but I wonder what they charge. I'm not going to look it up on today's show. You know, is it $300 a night? I'm sure they got to charge a little more than the usual bed and breakfast, right? I mean, and I wonder if they have I wonder if they serve like Bloody Mary drinks, Bloody Mary drinks. You know, what's on their food choice? What is that one called? Blood jelly or blood pudding? Blood pudding. You know what I mean? You can and all that. So, man, that is a hit list. All right, guys. All right. For the sake, we're gonna have fun. This is the fun time. Like fun. All right. She got acquitted for the murders, but let's just say Lizzie Borden did everything that she's accused of. So we'll take the Lalaurie Mansion woman. will take the Lizzie Borden woman, put him in a boxing ring. Put these two crazy wackos at each other. Who will win that prize fight at the Madison Square Garden where the Lalaurie lady beat Lizzie Borden? So the Lalaurie lady won. She will win the fight. Put 2 for Lizzie Borden. Who will win that fight? With or without the axes? No. No axes. I'm talking hands-on. A woman fight with no weapons, no nothing, just themselves. You got the crazy woman who took guts out, ripped the skin back, and Lizzie Borden, now, she was acquitted. So maybe she didn't really kill. So maybe she's not really that much of a badass. Who will win that fight? Let's find out. JoJo says the Larry will win that fight. Carrie Holton says the Lalaurie, whatever her fucking name is, will win that fight. Laura said she will win that fight. Dean and Pez said she'll win that fight. Cruz said word 3 times. Pitch Black Dark, Bloody Mary, Lizzie Borden, especially Countless. Yep. I love to do a haunted house tour and film it. Oh yeah. All right. So I think everybody's agreeing that this person here will kick the crap out of Lizzie Borden. But the bigger story, let's see here. So we have had 36 votes, and the Lizzie Borden house has won 67% to 33%. But now, everybody in the chat who voted, maybe some of you didn't know about the Lalaurie Mansion story, or maybe some of you didn't know about the Lizzie Borden story. After hearing both, would any of you change your vote? Would any one of you say, well, actually, Lizzie Borden was kind of acquitted. Maybe she really wasn't the murderer. So maybe the Lalaurie Mansion that hasn't been acquitted is 100% fact known. She's the crazy woman who did all that to the slaves. Would any of you change that story? Change your vote if you could have. You don't know none of them. So you're the perfect person I would see, like, after listening to both, why did you pick one or the other? I think if I would have heard both these stories for the first time, if I would have heard both these stories for the very first time, knowing the fact that Lizzie Borden was acquitted, that I would probably have to pick the Lalaurie Mansion story because she's more gruesome. She did more way over the top versus the Lizzie Borden story. Way over the top. So for me, that's my pick. I'm picking the Lalaurie Mansion story because, again, Lizzie Borden was acquitted. So some people said she had help. Some people said she really did. Some people said she didn't. So we're kind of a little bit technically unsure. But the Lalaurie Mansion, I mean, we weren't there. If we're going by what other people said, she really did do the murders. So for me, I'm picking the Lalaurie Mansion story. That's the story that I picked. New England women are crazy. Remember the story of the witches in the 1600s? New England women are crazy. Hey, guys, I didn't say that. Juan Torres. Some of you who probably lives in New England, probably right now, Izzy was framed. But was Lizzie framed? She was acquitted. She got away with it. So I get what you're saying. Like they're pointing the evidence to her, and they probably have because she's a woman, right? It's kind of like Juan Torres about the witches, that if a man had an affair with a woman and got caught by the husband, she'll probably say she's a witch. She did a spell on me. It happened. The Lizzie Mansion is just a crazy lady. Lizzie Borden is more satanic. And you know what? that if that's the reason why you picked Lizzie Borden, that's awesome. All right, guys. Tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show is going to be, my opinion, a very interesting show that Ron from Cosmic Neighbors and Dr. Woot will be on. And what the show, I want to get a clarification of what we're doing on the show for tomorrow. It's called Whistleblower Meaning. So what we're trying to do is, for tomorrow's show, is we're going to break down technically what is definition meaning of being considered a whistleblower. And then we're going to look at what is the exact laws of releasing information. You know, so we're going to break it. We're going to break it all down. So we're not here to disprove or approve. We're not here to make fun of anybody who's considered a whistleblower. We're going to look at what is known, what they're saying to the public. Does it truly follow under the whistleblower definition word? And if the law is a matter, did it fall into being arrested, being not? So we're going to be looking into breaking it down like Snowden. Is Snowden a real, true whistleblower? Classified information. We're going to look at the whistleblower definition and what is the law, and has these laws been forced on any of the so-called whistleblowers. So we're looking at a point of view. We're not going to go with this is what I feel. Well, what happened? What is the law? What did they do? Did it? What's the files? What's the act? You know, we're gonna define what is the Protection Act for a whistleblower. What does that exactly mean? Does some of these people fall under that act? You know what I mean? So, and again, it depends on what it is, because there's so many different kind of. We're talking about we're going to be looking into all whistleblowers, not just UFO. We're going to be talking about Deep Throat of the Nixon case. You know, so we're going to be looking at Snowden, the kid that's from the United States National Guard. So we're going to be looking at Bill Lazar whistleblower. So we're going to be looking at different angles of all different kind of whistleblowers, and does it follow what the definition of a whistleblower is, and what is the actual law of the classified information, and what truly does happen if you release it or not. So it's going to be a very educational type of show within the UFO community, the presidents, the Nixons, everything, Snowden. So we're really gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down and drop it like it's hot. Exactly. So next time, and what I'm hoping to get out of it is, next time, if you see any kind of a show with a whistleblower, so-called whistleblower, does he follow the guidelines of what a whistleblower is? And if somebody did release information, did they get in trouble? Did the law follow? Because if the law didn't follow their own laws, is there a conspiracy there? So we're going to look at it deeply tomorrow, and I hope all of you come in tomorrow. And again, tomorrow's show is not to bash any of these whistleblowers, but are they following the guidelines of what a whistleblower is? And if certain things have happened and released, did the law follow what the law says it's supposed to do? And what is that whistleblower act where you do have the right to be protected by law to come out to say certain things and be protected? So we're going to look all that in depth. So next time when you go on a show, when a person calls somebody else a whistleblower, well, did they follow the guidelines? What's making him a whistleblower? are people just using that word whistleblower like it's nothing, like it's porn candy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I got an interview with this guy coming on. He's a whistleblower, just to fool you to get clicks and views. So let's learn about what truly is a whistleblower and what is the law that protects you and what can happen to you if you do some of the things that have been said you have done. And guys, you're only going to learn this. Now, I'm going to end the show with part 2 from the intro. If any of you came in late to the show, I had an intro of a part 1 story of the Lalaurie Mansion. And I said part 2 of that is the ending for this show. So when you see this part 2, if you haven't watched part 1, you're going to have to rewatch the beginning of the show. And so you have part 1, you have part 2. Pretty genius, right? I see you all next time on the
In 1834, a fire broke out in my home, and the authorities came to put it out. That's when they found my black slave chained to the oven. She had started the fire in a desperate attempt to escape my torture. But what they discovered next was even more horrifying. In the attic of my home, they found 7 slaves who had been mutilated and tortured beyond recognition. Some had sharp iron bars pointed at their throats, while others were naked and locked in cages. They were hungry, scarred, and traumatized, the result of years of unspeakable abuse at the hands of myself and my husband. We fled to Florence, never to be seen again. But the legacy of my atrocities lives on. To this day, people say that they can still hear screams coming from my former home. The memory of what I did will haunt me for eternity. In conclusion, I want to urge you all to never let power or wealth cloud your judgment. The pursuit of these things can lead down a dark path, one that is filled with pain and suffering. Thank you for listening to my story.